I'm sitting in a lawyer's office, staring at documents that prove Cole drained every account in my name. My throat locks. My hands shake. All I can think is, he planned this while kissing me goodnight. The papers blur in front of me. Bank statements, transfer records, account closures. Each one stamped with dates I remember clearly. Anniversaries, holidays, quiet Tuesday mornings when he told me he loved me. I feel something inside me break. Not my heart. Something deeper. Trust, maybe. Or the version of myself who believed love meant safety. But I refuse to cry. Not here. Not yet. My name is Ava Marin. 3 weeks ago, I found out the man I built a life with was building my downfall instead. The lawyer, Miss Patterson, slides another folder across the desk. This is what he moved into offshore accounts, she says quietly. The number makes my vision tunnel. I look up at her. Can we get it back? She meets my eyes. Not all of it, but we can make sure he pays for trying. I nod slowly. That's when I decide, I'm not just surviving this. I'm winning. I keep flashing back to that night 6 months ago. The night everything felt perfect. Cole stood at the head of our dining table, glass raised, surrounded by his business partners and their wives. The candlelight made everything glow warm and golden. To my wife, he said, smiling at me, the woman behind my success, the reason I wake up every day wanting to do better. Everyone applauded. I remember blushing, feeling proud, feeling seen. He came around the table and kissed my forehead. I couldn't do any of this without you, Ava. I believed him. Now, sitting in this cold office with proof of his betrayal spread in front of me, I realized that speech was just a curtain call before he started erasing me. He toasted me while planning to leave me with nothing. He kissed me while calculating exactly how much he could steal. The memory makes me sick now, not because it was a lie, but because I was so grateful for it. Miss Patterson clears her throat. Ava, are you ready to continue? I blink back to the present. Yes. Show me everything. The first hint came 4 months ago. I was paying bills online when I noticed our savings account balance looked wrong. We'd had just over $30,000. Now it showed $10,000. $20,000 gone. I stared at the screen, refreshing it twice, thinking it was a mistake. Then I heard Cole come in from the garage. Hey, I called out. Did you transfer money from savings? He appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. What? There's $20,000 missing. His expression didn't change. Oh, yeah, business investment, short-term thing. You didn't mention it. He sighed, that particular sigh that made me feel like I was being unreasonable. Ava, you wouldn't understand the details. It's a complicated deal, trust me. The way he said trust me felt wrong. But I swallowed my questions. Okay, I said quietly. He kissed the top of my head. Don't worry about it. I've got this handled. After he left the room, I sat there feeling stupid, feeling small. But I also printed every bank statement from the past year. I didn't know why yet. Just instinct. My birthday was 2 weeks after the missing money. Cole woke me with coffee and a small blue box from the jewelry store downtown. Happy birthday, beautiful, he said, sitting on the edge of the bed. Inside was a diamond bracelet. Delicate, expensive, exactly my style. I threw my arms around him. Cole, it's gorgeous. You didn't have to. You deserve it, he interrupted. You deserve everything. I wore it to dinner that night. He took me to the nicest restaurant in the city. We held hands across the table. He told me I looked beautiful. I felt loved. 2 weeks later, I was organizing receipts for taxes when I saw the charge. The bracelet, listed under client entertainment, not a birthday gift, a business expense, deductible, strategic. I stared at that receipt for 10 minutes. Then I put it in a folder. That night at dinner, he complimented the bracelet. I smiled and thanked him again. Inside, a part of me quietly died, but I didn't say anything, not yet. I was starting to see a pattern. I woke at 2 in the morning to the sound of Cole's voice. At first, I thought he was on a work call. He did that sometimes, dealing with clients in different time zones. But something in his tone felt wrong. I lay still, listening. His office door was half closed down the hall. His voice drifted through. Transfer it before she checks again, he said quietly. Yeah, both accounts. No, she won't notice if we... My body went completely cold. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, hands shaking, opened the voice recorder, hit record. Make sure the dates don't overlap, Cole continued. We need clean documentation. If she asks, I'll handle it. 10 seconds. That's all I got before he started walking back toward the bedroom. I closed the app and pretended to be asleep. He slipped into bed beside me, kissed my shoulder. "Love you," he whispered. I didn't respond. In the darkness, I realized the truth. The man I loved had already left me emotionally. He was just waiting for the right moment to make it official. 3 days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. "Mrs. Marin? This is Patrick Wu. I'm Cole's accountant." I knew Patrick. We'd met at company events. "Hi, Patrick. What can I do for you?" He hesitated. "I'm calling because, look, I could lose my juris, but you should get your own lawyer. Soon." My stomach dropped. "What? I can't say more. Just trust me. Get legal advice, today, if possible." He hung up. I sat on the edge of the couch, phone in my hand, heart hammering. Patrick had nothing to gain from warning me, which meant the danger was real. That single sentence, "You should get your own lawyer," turned my fear into resolve. I called Miss Patterson that afternoon. By evening, I had an appointment scheduled, and I started digging through everything Cole had ever said, done, or signed in the past year. If he was planning something, I was going to find out exactly what. The next Sunday, Cole went for his usual morning run. I had maybe 40 minutes. I went to his office and opened his laptop. I knew his password, our anniversary date. He'd never changed it. His desktop was organized, professional, work folders, client files, spreadsheets. Then I saw it, a folder labeled Separation Plan Draft. My hands froze over the keyboard. I clicked it open. Inside were documents, timelines, account numbers, asset valuations, projected division of property. He had planned the divorce like a business merger. There was a schedule, when to move money, when to file paperwork, when to tell me. He'd even written notes, minimize her access to joint accounts 2 weeks prior. Transfer business assets to Brothers LLC. I read every word. He'd been planning this for at least 6 months, while I was planning our anniversary trip, while I was cooking his favorite meals, while I was falling asleep next to him every night. I heard the front door open. He was back. I closed everything, shut the laptop, and walked calmly to the kitchen. My face felt numb, my chest hollow, but I smiled when he came in, sweaty and happy. "Good run?" I asked. That night, Cole was suddenly affectionate. He cooked dinner, my favorite pasta dish, the one he only made on special occasions. He poured wine, lit candles, put on soft music. "I feel like we haven't connected in a while," he said, sitting across from me. "I want us to reconnect." I looked at him, really looked at him. His smile was perfect, his tone sincere, but I'd seen the documents. I knew what was coming. This dinner wasn't about reconnection, it was about goodbye. He was rehearsing his exit, making sure I wouldn't suspect anything when he finally pulled the trigger. "I'd like that too," I said, raising my glass. We clinked glasses. He reached across the table and took my hand. "I love you, Ava." I smiled back. "I love you too." The lie tasted like ash in my mouth, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I played along, laughed at his jokes, talked about the future, like we had one. Inside, I was already gone. He thought he was saying goodbye in advance. He had no idea I was doing the same thing. 3 days later, he started the conversation. We were eating leftovers on the couch, watching some show neither of us cared about. He muted the TV. "Ava, we need to talk." I turned to him, my face neutral. "Okay." He took a breath. Rehearsed, I could tell. "I think I need some space to figure things out." I watched his mouth move, detached, almost amused by how predictable his script was. "I still love you," he continued quickly, "but I feel like we've grown apart, don't you think?" "Do I think what? That we've lost something?" I tilted my head slightly. "Have we?" He looked frustrated, like I wasn't following the script he'd written. "I just think it might be good for us to take a break, temporarily." "A break?" I repeated. "Yeah, just to reset." I nodded slowly. "Okay." He blinked. "Okay? If that's what you need, then okay." Relief washed over his face. "You're being really mature about this." "Are you okay?" he asked, almost suspiciously. "Completely," I said. And I meant it in a way he didn't understand. 2 days after the conversation, I checked our joint savings account. Balance. Not even a cent. I stared at the screen, watching the cursor blink next to that zero. He'd emptied it. Completely. The account we'd built together for 10 years, the emergency fund, the vacation savings, the down payment for the house we'd talked about buying. Gone. I refreshed the page, still zero. The emptiness on the screen mirrored the emptiness in my chest. But I didn't cry. Instead, I took a screenshot, added it to the growing folder on my laptop labeled evidence. Then I called Miss Patterson. "He just drained our joint account," I said when she answered. "When?" "This morning. Every penny." I heard her typing. "That's good." "Good? It shows intent, pattern of behavior. It helps our case." She paused. "Ava, don't react. Don't confront him. Let him think you haven't noticed." "How long? Until we're ready. Until we have everything. Then we strike all at once." I exhaled slowly. "Okay. Can you do that? Stay quiet?" I thought about the recording, the documents, the bracelet receipt. "Yes," I said. "I can do that." Miss Patterson called me in for a meeting the next week. So she had a new lawyer with her, a specialist in financial fraud. They laid it all out for me. Shell companies in Cole's brother's name, forged documents with my signature, transfers to offshore accounts I'd never heard of. He'd been stealing from me for over a year. Not just our joint money, my money, inheritance from my grandmother, settlement from a car accident, money that was legally solely mine. He'd forged my signature and moved it. Hearing it aloud was worse than discovering it myself, worse than the screenshots, worse than the recordings, because now it was real, official, criminal. "This isn't just divorce," the fraud specialist said. "This is financial abuse. We can press charges." Miss Patterson watched me carefully. "It's your choice, Ava. Civil case or criminal, or both." I looked down at my hands. They weren't shaking anymore. "Both," I said quietly. She nodded. "Then we need to be very careful. Very thorough, no mistakes. What do I do?" "You stay calm. You document everything. You don't let him know you're coming." Knowledge is power, I realized. And now I had both. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't confront him. I went completely still, like a lake freezing over. Calm on the surface, cold underneath. I moved through our house like a ghost, gathering proof. Screenshots of every conversation, copies of every document, timestamps on every transaction. I installed software on my laptop that backed up everything to a secure cloud. I recorded every phone call he thought was private. I photographed every receipt, every statement, every scrap of paper with his handwriting. Cole thought I was grieving our separation. He had no idea I was building his cage. The rage I felt, that burning, screaming fury, became fuel. It powered me through sleepless nights, through lonely dinners, through the humiliation of knowing he was probably with someone else. But I didn't let it control me. Instead, I channeled it. Rage became focus, became strategy, and silence became my armor. He couldn't see what I was thinking, couldn't predict what I was planning. I was invisible to him now, and that made me dangerous. A week later, I got an email from an unexpected address. The subject line, "You deserve to know." I almost deleted it, thought it was spam, but something made me open it. "Mrs. Marin, my name is Mara Delgado. I work as Cole's executive assistant. I noticed some unusual financial transfers and I think you should be aware. I've kept copies. Please call me." She left her number. I stared at that email for 5 full minutes. Then I called. Mara answered on the first ring. "Mrs. Marin, why are you doing this?" I asked. She was quiet for a moment. "Because I watched my mother lose everything in a divorce. The man she trusted cleaned her out. She never recovered." My throat tightened. "I won't let that happen to someone else if I can help it," Mara said softly. "What did you find?" "Transfers to accounts I'd never seen before. Documents with signatures that didn't look quite right. He asked me to backdate invoices." "Can you send me copies? Already encrypted and ready. What's your secure email?" For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. And Cole had no idea that his own assistant had just become my ally. 2 days later, Mara sent me something else. Photos. Cole in Paris, at a cafe, at the Eiffel Tower, in a hotel lobby, with a woman half my age. I zoomed in on her face, young, beautiful, laughing at something he was saying. The caption Mara included, "He told the office this was a business trip to meet with the investor's daughter." These were posted on her private Instagram. I stared at the photos for a long time. I waited for the crushing pain, the betrayal, the heartbreak. Instead, I felt nothing, then something unexpected. Laughter. I actually laughed. Because of course it was this predictable. Of course he was having an affair with someone half his age. Of course it was a cliché. The absurdity almost comforted me. It meant he wasn't special. Wasn't even creative. He was just another middle-aged man making the same tired choices every other middle-aged man made. And that made him easier to beat. I saved the photos, added them to the folder. Then I texted Miss Patterson, "We have proof of infidelity too." Her response came immediately. "Perfect." I decided to set a trap. The next morning, I made sure Cole could overhear me on the phone. I was talking to the bank. Really, I was talking to myself on speaker, but he didn't know that. "Yes, I need to report suspicious activity on my account," I said loudly. "No, I didn't authorize those transfers. Can you freeze the accounts and investigate?" I heard movement in the other room. "Thank you. Yes, I'll wait for the investigation results." I hung up. Within 2 hours, Cole was in his office making frantic calls. I heard him through the walls. "Move it now. No, she's flagging things. We need to cover the trail. Transfer everything to the secondary account." I recorded every word. By evening, my lawyer had copies. And Cole had just created new evidence of attempted fraud. Transfers made in panic, trying to hide what he'd done. "He's making mistakes now," Miss Patterson said when I sent her the recordings. "Desperate people always do. What's next? We wait for him to finish digging his own grave. Then we bury him in it." A week later, Cole stormed into the house while I was making dinner. His face was red, his eyes wild. "What the hell did you do?" he shouted. I turned from the stove calmly. "Excuse me? You called the bank? You're flagging my transactions. Do you have any idea what you're doing to me?" I set down the spoon, looked at him evenly. "What I'm doing to you? You're ruining me. My business partners are asking questions. The accountant is freaking out." I took a step toward him. "You did that yourself, Cole." He stopped. His mouth opened, closed. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. "You moved money without telling me," I said quietly. "You forged documents with my name. You drained accounts that were half mine, and you thought I wouldn't notice?" His face went pale. "Ava, I'm not stupid, and I'm not yours to steal from." He stood there speechless, and I felt strong for the first time in months. "Get out of my house," I said. "This is my—" "Get out!" He left. I locked the door behind him. Then I called Miss Patterson. "It's time," I said. I hired a private investigator the next day. His name was Frank Torres, former cop, 20 years of experience. "I need everything," I told him. "Bank accounts, properties, business dealings, affairs, everything he's hiding." Frank nodded. "How deep do you want me to go?" "All the way." 3 weeks later, he came back with a file 3 inches thick. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, properties in his brother's name, loans that didn't exist, assets hidden in shell companies I'd never heard of. He'd been planning this for years, not months, years. Every report Frank gave me felt like another brick in my new foundation. Each piece of evidence made me stronger. "There's enough here to put him away," Frank said. "If you want to go criminal." I looked through the papers. "I want everything, civil and criminal. I want him to lose everything the way he tried to make me lose everything." Frank smiled grimly. "Then that's what we'll do." "How long?" "The case could take a year, but we've got him. He's not getting out of this." I closed the file. For the first time in months, I slept well that night. Cole went public before I could. He posted on social media long, emotional paragraphs about how our marriage fell apart, how I'd changed, how I was being unreasonable. He painted me as unstable, controlling, vindictive. His friends commented with support. "You deserve better, man. Hang in there." I read every word, and I didn't respond. Miss Patterson advised me to stay silent. Let him talk. Let him paint himself as the victim. Every lie he tells is ammunition. So I watched. I watched him tell the world how I'd turned on him, how I was destroying his reputation, how he was the real victim. And with every post, he tightened the legal noose he couldn't see forming. Because every claim he made contradicted the evidence we had. Every lie created another perjury charge. My silence became his trap, and he walked right into it. 2 weeks after his social media campaign, Miss Patterson filed an emergency injunction. It happened on a Friday morning. By noon, half of Cole's assets were frozen. Bank accounts, investment portfolios, business accounts, properties, all locked pending investigation. My phone rang at 2 p.m. Cole, crying. "Ava, please, we need to talk. This is insane. You're destroying everything." "I didn't destroy anything," I said calmly. "I just stopped you from stealing more." "I wasn't. Talk to my lawyer, Cole. Just listen." I hung up. He called back 6 times. I blocked his number. That evening, Miss Patterson called. "He's panicking. His lawyer just contacted me asking for a meeting." "What did you say?" "That we're willing to meet. In court. When? 3 weeks. We'll have everything ready by then. I smiled. Good. Then something unexpected happened. The woman from Paris, the investor's daughter, called me. Mrs. Marin, my name is Chloe Durant. I need to tell you something about Cole. I almost hung up. But curiosity won. I'm listening. He used my name on fake documents, for loans, for business deals, without my permission. My eyebrows rose. Why are you telling me this? Because I found out when investigators contacted my father. Cole told me he was divorced, that you were crazy and stalking him. I believed him. She paused. Then I found out the truth. He's still married to you, and he's been using me. I have copies of everything he forged with my name, she said. I'm sending it to the authorities, but I wanted you to know first. Why? Because you deserve to take him down, and I want to help. She sent me everything that night. Forged contracts, fake loan applications, business proposals with her signature she never signed. For the first time, his new woman became his worst enemy. He couldn't control the narrative anymore. Within days, everything collapsed. Cole's investors pulled out after reading Chloe's statement. His business partners distanced themselves publicly. Friends stopped calling. The man who once commanded every room he walked into now hid from them. I watched it happen from a distance. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I simply observed. Cole lost his biggest client, then his second biggest, then his office lease. The company he'd built, partially on money stolen from me, crumbled in less than a month. He tried calling me again, different numbers, through mutual friends. I ignored every attempt. Miss Patterson handled all communication. He's desperate, she told me. He wants to settle. For what? He's offering to return 30% of what he took. I laughed. Actually laughed. No. I thought you'd say that, so we're gonna court? We're gonna court. Good, because I want to watch him explain himself to a judge. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Cold. Institutional. Nothing like the TV shows. Cole sat across from me with his lawyer. He looked thinner, older, scared. He tried to catch my eye. I looked straight ahead. The judge reviewed our evidence, the recordings, the documents, the forged signatures. Cole's lawyer tried to spin it. Your Honor, this was a marital dispute that got out of hand. My client made some poor financial decisions, but... Poor decisions? Miss Patterson interrupted. He systematically drained his wife's accounts, forged her signature on legal documents, and hid assets in shell companies. That's not poor decisions. That's fraud. The judge looked at Cole. Do you have a response? Cole stood, tried his old charm. Your Honor, I made mistakes. I was under a lot of stress. My business was struggling and Then Miss Patterson played the recording. Cole's voice, crystal clear. Transfer it before she checks again. His face drained of color. The judge's expression hardened. I've heard enough, she said. She ruled in my favor. Every asset returned, plus damages, plus legal fees. Cole collapsed into his chair. I stood and walked out without looking back. 3 months later, I learned the full extent of his collapse. Those hidden assets he'd moved, worthless investments. The offshore accounts, seized by federal investigators. The shell companies, bankrupt. His brother, who'd helped hide money, was under investigation too. The business Cole had built was gone, liquidated. The house he'd bought with Chloe's father's money, foreclosed. Everything he'd stolen, everything he'd schemed for, all of it disappeared. He finally experienced the emptiness he'd once left me with. And I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not revenge. Just a quiet sense of justice. Frank called me with updates. He's living in a rental apartment, driving a 10-year-old car, working contract jobs. Is that supposed to make me feel bad? I asked. No, just thought you'd want to know. I didn't want to know. I wanted to move forward. 6 months after the divorce, I launched my own business, a consulting firm helping women understand money, marriage law, and financial protection. My first seminar filled a hotel conference hall. I stood at the podium looking at 200 faces staring back at me. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack. Never confuse love with ownership, I told them. Never assume someone else will protect your future. Only you can do that. I told them my story. Not for sympathy, for education. I showed them how to spot the warning signs, how to protect their assets, how to document everything. Knowledge is power, I said, but only if you use it. The applause was overwhelming. Afterward, dozens of women lined up to talk to me, to thank me, to share their own stories. I helped 3 women that day navigate divorces like mine. By the end of the year, I'd helped 50. My business grew. My reputation grew. I wasn't Ava who got destroyed anymore. I was Ava who rebuilt herself. And that felt better than any revenge ever could. One afternoon, I was leaving a speaking event when I saw him. Cole. Waiting by the parking lot. He looked smaller somehow, thinner, worn down. Ava, he said quietly. I stopped, didn't speak. I lost everything, he said, his voice cracked. My business, my reputation, everything. I looked at him for a long moment. So did I once, I said finally. Then I learned how to build without stealing. His face crumpled. I'm sorry. I know I don't need your apology, Cole. I don't need anything from you. I just wanted to explain. There's nothing to explain. You made choices. You're living with them, just like I'm living with mine. I looked at the bracelet on my wrist, the same one he'd bought as a business expense. The sun caught the diamonds. They sparkled. What once symbolized deceit now reminded me of survival. Goodbye, Cole, I said. I walked to my car, started the engine, drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing there, alone, and I felt nothing, no anger, no pain, no satisfaction, just peace. I'd built something real. Something mine, something he could never touch. And that was enough.